Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be discussing the movies that I picked up in the recent Kino Lorber March Madness sale. I bought 7, and I also picked up a movie from Blu-ray from Criterion Collection, which was just released this past Tuesday. First up is Rawhide. This is from 1951, and strangely enough, the back cover on this Kino Lorber release says 1943, but it's definitely 1951. I rechecked on IMDb. It's directed by Henry Hathaway, Tyrone Power, Susan Hayward, a really good cast, supporting cast in this, of a bunch of outlaws that take over a stagecoach depot. And it's said to be one of the inspirations for Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight. Doesn't have much in the way of extras on it, no commentary. Next up is a couple of movies from Frank and Eleanor Perry, and they were a husband and wife team. She wrote the screenplays, he directed, from the 60s, 70s, and they made sort of independent films, offbeat films. David and Lisa was their first film with Keir Dullea and Janet Margolin, about a couple of disturbed young people that have gone into a kind of institution and develop a relationship. Their second film, that was a hit. David and Lisa, an independent film type hit. Their second film, I can't remember this playing much on TV, no less than the movies. It was Ladybug, and this concerns the reaction of a bunch of school children to the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. I was 13. I remember the Cuban Missile Crisis. So I don't. This is a blind buy for me. This does have a commentary on it, and I say blind buy. I've seen so many movies that it could very well, after I watch a half an hour of this, I'll say, oh yeah, wait a minute, I saw this movie, which happens quite a lot the older you get. The second one of the Frank Perry, Eleanor Perry movies is Diary of a Mad Housewife. This is much more famous film, touching on feminist themes and abusive husband, Richard Benjamin, Frank Langella, and Carrie Snodgrass, who had some starring roles. This is from 1970, and then she left movies for a few years, though, with Neil Young. She eventually does come back to movies, but never really in a starring role, though she is in Brian De Palma's The Fury, which is later in the 1970s. And did a bunch of TV work. She's a very unusual, very interesting actress, and I remember this being a very good film for its time and touching on those feminist themes. And the next one is also from 1970, and it's a Jerry Schatzberg film. That's Faye Dunaway on the cover, and it's a great cover. And Faye Dunaway is one of my I don't know if she's one of my favorite actresses, but she has such a mysterious aura about her. I always thought she could have been a 1930s, 1940s movie star. This I haven't seen since it first came out. I have no idea whether I'm going to like it or not, but it has gotten some good reviews. This reissue, or this Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. This too does have a commentary on it. Next up is from 1979. This is Cuba. And this is a film directed by Richard Lester. It's not the kind of film you might necessarily associate with Richard Lester, but it's set in the time of Castro coming to power in 1959. You would get Sean Connery in his post-Bond romantic hero kind of role. Played a few of those, and Brooke Adams, who I think was fresh off of Days of Heaven, probably her most famous film. Chris Sarandon, I believe, is in this film as well. I remember it being very entertaining, if nothing else, colorful, and its recreation of the Cuban Revolution. It's a movie that I don't believe there's any extras whatsoever on that movie. This one does have a commentary, and this is from 1988, and this is the Milagro Beanfield War. I read the novel that this was based on, and I thought a very good novel. And also, when I saw the film, I thought the film version was very good. It sort of just dropped out of sight. It's one of those films that was directed by Robert Redford, but he did not appear in. And it's set in the Southwest, and it tells an unusual story about people that you don't often see depicted in movies. Next up is a movie I absolutely love, and I may be the only person in the whole wide world that loves this movie, but it's recently released by Kino Lorber's Bodies, Rest in Motion. And it's, his studio is set in the Southwest. This is in Tucson, Arizona. It's a movie about slackers in the 1990s. They weren't really a whole lot different than the slackers. I was probably a slacker in the 1970s, early 70s, and in the sense of not knowing what to do with your life and working in jobs that are unfulfilling, but you have to get by somehow to pay bills and whatever. And got a great cast. That's Tim Roth, that's Phoebe Cates, that's Eric Stoltz, and that's Bridget Fonda. Where have you gone, Bridget Fonda? You know, she just dropped, I don't know, maybe made one film or two films in the 2000s, and then she just sort of disappeared from movies. She said goodbye. Now, no one's ever tempted her to come back, but she was an icon, really, of many movies, single white female, and many others in the 1990s. And I think she's really good in this film. This has two new introductions. Bodies, Rest in Motion is one by the director, one by the screenwriter, and it has a commentary. They also provide a commentary, which I believe was on the DVD, because I did rent that DVD. And then lastly, but definitely not least, this is the Criterion, recent Criterion Blu-ray release. In fact, it just came out this past Tuesday, and that's Celine and Julie Go Boating. This is a 3-hour and 10-minute movie, and you probably should, if you have some temptation to buy it, probably should watch a little bit of it on the Criterion channel, which is where I saw it about a month ago. And I did see this when it came out sometime in the 1970s. It's directed by Jacques Rivette, and he was one of the French New Wave directors, and I loved it when I remember seeing this and absolutely loving it. And this was a movie that it was very hard to see after its original release. But I've seen Paris Belongs to Us, his first film, and The Nun, a more conventional film based on a story by Diderot with Anna Karina. But this is just a wild, crazy summer vacation type movie where these two girls hook up. They go into like an Alice in Wonderland story. It's actually purported to be based on Henry James' short story, which I had read. But after I saw the film recently, I went back to read it because I didn't recognize anything of Henry James in here. But it really is. It really does the part of the Alice in Wonderland where they go through the looking glass. That part really is sort of a Henry James, based on that Henry James story. It has great artwork. I just love the artwork. I got to show you what the discs look like. This is the disc and the interior art design. It also comes with a beautiful booklet, which continues the same, I guess it's watercolor type art, and it includes a essay, academic kind of essay, and then it also includes a article that Julie Berto, who plays, I think, Julie in the movie, where she from archival from the time when the film was released, where she talks about the film. That looks pretty interesting, and this artwork is some more of the artwork. This is the looking glass. This is where they go. This is the house of craziness. You really don't know what's going on there. They look like the characters that live in this house. Kind of look like they're ghosts. You really don't know what. There's a little girl who appears to be in danger, and they have to try to save her. And they go various times to this house, and it's really. I'm trying to describe a movie that really I don't have I just don't have it in me to come up with it. It's the kind of movie you really have to experience. So that's what I got from my sale, the Blu-rays I bought from this sale, and any Blu-rays that you guys may have purchased, or any other comments you want to make, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, stay well, and I'll catch you guys next time.